Welcome. This video will help you set up iATS with CiviCRM. The first thing you need to do is log into your CiviCRM and find the Extensions menu under Administer System Settings, right here. Some versions of CiviCRM, the menu is located here under Customize, but all modern versions of CiviCRM ship with the iATS payment extension in the list of available extensions. All you need to do is click Enable. Then confirm and wait a few seconds. Once the iATS extension is showing enabled, you'll be ready to go. In the future, for maintenance, anytime you see a yellow upgrade link, go ahead and click it for iATS payments to make sure you stay synced up and current. The next thing you'll want to do is find the email that you received when you set up your account with iATS. This contains codes and passwords to link up your CiviCRM to iATS. You'll then create a payment processor here in the Administer menu. Settings, Payment Processors. Whether you use iATS First Pay or iATS Legacy, the method is the same. However, the information you need to enter is different depending on if it's First Pay or Legacy. Let's work with First Pay first. You'll need a processor ID number, which is a 6-digit number, and the Transaction Center ID number, which is a different 6-digit number. You'll also need the merchant key, your unique code for your account. Once all three are input, you can click Save. Also, you'll want to copy and paste the site URL here into the recurring payments URL if it's not there already. This will make sure that your recurring payments notify CiviCRM and vice versa. If you can't find all three, 2 ID numbers, and the 1 merchant key, contact iATS and come back here. Then click Save. iATS Legacy requires different information. It uses an agent code and password. You should have received this when your account was set up, just like First Pay. Paste the agent code and the password in here. Then click Save. Likewise, if the site URL is not located in both places, copy and then paste into the recurring payments URL as well. Click Save when you're done. Here in the Payment Processing Listing screen, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm showing all the varieties of iATS payments. But for your site, you'll probably only need a couple or 3. I've got ACH credit card for both First Pay and Legacy, as well as Swipe. Now, once you've configured the payment processor, it's time to add these as available processors in the contribution and events pages on your site that are built to collect money. Let's walk through that now. Within Contributions, Manage Contribution Pages, click Configure and then Contribution Amounts. This will take you straight to the Amounts tab where you can choose the various payment processors you want available on this page. This doesn't have anything to do with the amount of money you'll actually be processing. This is just the available processors for this page. Obviously, for other pages, you could make different selections. Again, for the purposes of demonstration, I'm enabling all of them, including the Pay Later option by check, which doesn't go to the processor at all, but instead gives them instructions on where to mail the paper. To configure the actual dollar amounts, scroll down, and that's part of CiviCRM's documentation. Let's take a look at what the actual processing page looks like. So we have our various contribution amounts. Again, these can be configured in whatever denomination you wish. And then we have all of the fields that you collect when someone makes a donation. Again, part of CiviCRM, not necessarily iATS. Here's where iATS comes into play. When they choose an amount, and then they choose the various payment methods, you'll see it displayed here. Choosing credit card should show a section where they must enter a 16-digit card number, 3-digit code, and then month and year. You'll notice that Legacy looks a little bit different, but it's the same idea. ACH looks like this. They're shown a sample check, here Canadian, but it would be different in the US or international. It changes automatically based on your account. You enter the transit number, the bank account, holder, and so on, and then process your contribution below. Here's a helpful fact. If you want to test a credit card, you can enter 4 followed by 15 ones. That's 4111, and then for a total of 16 digits. Any 3-digit code will do, and any month and year that's in the future. This will process a test transaction. Wait a second, and then you should see this notice. If you've gotten to this point and you see an error that says 9002, that's 9002, that means that your account hasn't been properly input into the extension, or there may be an issue with the account itself. Please contact iATS and get the latest code and key for inputting into CiviCRM. Then come back to the payment processor and click Edit and paste in the latest information. Let's talk about recurring or monthly giving. Here in a CiviCRM contribution page, turn on recurring contributions with this button. Choose the recurring units and intervals. When in doubt, you can just keep it simple by enabling 1 month and turning off installments. But if you'd like to give a number of installments, such as every month for 6 months, you can click this button and a person can choose the amount of installments they wish to make. Regardless, after you've clicked Save, the payment page should look like this. They'll be able to click here to contribute this amount for 6 months. This is standard CiviCRM behavior that's supported by the iATS payment processor. I'm going to show you how that looks on the back end after this payment is processed. There you go. Note, this is part of the receipt and thank you messaging in CiviCRM itself. And this transaction ID number will show up in iATS. I'll show you more here. I've found the account in CiviCRM where this contribution was created. I'm going to reload the page and we'll now see a recurring contribution here on this tab. These are the separate contributions. A recurring contribution has a special flag next to it, but the recurring contribution plan itself is located here. An analogy is the goose here that lays the golden eggs here, once a month or however often the plan was for. In this case, it is dutifully recorded 6 monthly installments, just like we saw on the previous page. Now, if you need to make some edits because their credit card has changed or because they wish to cancel, here's how. Do it in CiviCRM rather than iATS by either clicking Cancel, which will either send them an email if you click this button or not, and you can enter a reason. Then click this button to go forward with the cancellation and this button to stop and not cancel it. If they want to change the plan, click Edit. So here's some important notes. Read along, please. You cannot change the contribution frequency, meaning change it from monthly to daily, because that's not what they authorized. But you can modify the next scheduled contribution date. For instance, if someone's told you that they're a little behind and they need to move forward to the 15th from the 8th, you can change that here. And then you can also change if the contributor is sent a receipt or not after this is done. The credit card number is stored on the iATS side. That's best for security. CiviCRM receives a token and contacts iATS whenever it's time to make the charge. But the installments and the frequency are stored here in CiviCRM. So any changes they need to make happen here. The CiviCRM extension for iATS has some really cool built-in features around recurring contributions. For instance, if the payment initially fails at a regularly scheduled recurring interval, it will try again, and then wait a few days and try again, and then if it finally fails, it'll notify you. If it does reinstate after a number of days, say they were over their credit limit, then it will change the actual start date to begin monthly at the new date. So, for instance, if it didn't actually get charged until the 12th, this date would change once the payment finally went through to the 12th every month going forward. If you have someone who needs to change their credit card number, first view the recurring plan and then edit the card on file here. Let's take a look at some of the built-in reports that come with the iATS extension. The Legacy Journal and the Payments Admin. I'm loading both of these reports now. First of all, I want to draw your attention to these statuses. In the iATS scheduled jobs, you need to make sure that these are active. Here, 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 and here. Click Enable next to each of these to make sure that iATS is communicating with CiviCRM as needed on a regular basis. Your CiviCRM should be configured to run cron already at least once per hour. If it's not, you'll see a message in CiviCRM telling you so, and contact your system administrator to get that set up. Then, once cron is running, you just have to enable the iATS jobs to make sure that when you look at this screen, everything is fine. So, all of the past contributions are located on this screen, listing the contact, the IP address it came from, and other pertinent information. This journal shows a similar list for the legacy payment extension. This ID number will match up. Let's log into the portal and I'll show you what I mean. The iATS Payments Legacy Portal looks like this and is located at iATSpayments.com. Enter your client code and password, then click Log In. In order to view the journal, click here. You'll be able to match up all of the recently processed transactions and click List Batches, and you'll be able to match up the invoice with the transaction here in the iATS journal. Now for First Pay, it's a similar situation. However, you log in here in the top section with your Transaction Center ID, your username, and the password. Once you're inside, click Transaction Center. Choose your account, and then find Today's Authorizations or Search Transactions, and the experience is much the same. This should give you the tools you need to get started with iATS and CiviCRM. If you want to know more about the extension that links CiviCRM to iATS, you can Google iATS CiviCRM extension. The first link will take you to the CiviCRM extensions page, but this is the iATS Payments extension repository itself, which contains the documentation. Click in and scroll all the way down. This will have developer notes, testing codes, and other useful information if you have to do some debugging. To contact iATS, just call their support line or file a support ticket. Thanks and take care.